I love how Derek is going.
Way to go, producer.
I love how our producer is going to talk to us about our last call, which was the Route 91.
Yeah, our last guest was Janny Copeland talking about her experience at Route 91 Harvest Festival 2017. Obviously, the largest mass shooting in history. And how one man can take out 58 lives and what was it, over 800 injured?
Wounds, yeah. Jeez.
Derek, was that what it was?
I believe so, but wasn't it like, it was over 1,000 rounds? How many rounds?
There was a lot of rounds.
Like, you think there'd be a lot more people.
And she said within the 11 minutes,
Like,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the crazy part. That's the crazy part.
The lights were off, so he was just shooting everywhere and anywhere, right?
Do you know what's crazy? So I posted the story on TikTok.
Yeah, I saw that.
Right? And did you see that guy who commented about, hey, and I checked out his profile. He talks about like conspiracy things. He talks about how he knew this guy. He's like, if you want the story on this guy and why I believe he committed this mass destruction. And he basically said something to the effect of, he was getting even for basically against the hotel for taking his money for the gambling. Like,
okay, yes, I heard that he had a gambling addiction.
Yeah, and he was basically, he wanted the hotel to pay for the injustice on his.
But he went into a previous motel before and was taken in the same luggage. So that wouldn't make any sense.
True. What do you think,
Wait,
Derek?
say that again?
He was taking in luggage previously to another motel. Remember? We just watched 11 minutes.
Yeah.
And he was constantly, prior to going to the, what was the name of the hotel? The Mandalay.
Yeah.
He went to another motel and was doing the same thing.
I thought he was pulling in his luggage, going back several times, bringing it up to the hotel
To another
room.
Motel first.
Are you sure?
Yes, positive.
Oh, that's right. They said he scoped out that one first, and it wasn't going to be able to get him the results as.
So don't you think he would start shooting up motel employees and not random people?
That's
so. What do
true.
you what do you think?
Theory?
What's your thought about it?
I have no thoughts.
You have no theory?
Well, who knows? Who knows what this guy?
You
who
were a
knows what this guy is
detective.
thinking?
You were a detective, an undercover detective. You know.
But I don't know everything. I don't know all the details.
You know.
We don't know all the details.
So
You
knowing
know
that
stuff.
knowing that he is a mass shooter, when you come across those type of people, there is some type of mental illness or something that's going on with him, or he was at his lowest of the low of debt. But I heard that he was still doing with his girlfriend, like she wasn't involved.
Yeah, so Derek and I watched the documentary
Yeah.
last night, and it was interesting. So the girlfriend talked about how in the 2 previous years he had gotten way more cynical, grumpy, withdrawn. She talked about how he had this huge change of personality in the last 2 years.
Yeah.
And but yet she was dependent on him financially, so she stayed with him. So basically, she was in the relationship not necessarily wanting to be, but because she needed him financially. But she said he was getting more and more miserable. His brothers described him as just a flat out controlling, angry, not so nice, not so friendly guy.
They didn't say much of anything nice.
They
about
didn't
him.
have
About him.
anything nice to say about their brother.
So
which
were
is
drugs and alcohol involved in it?
not that we saw. Not more than like social drinking while he's, gambling, but it was just like there was still no strong motive. But what I found interesting was the shooter's father was, what'd they say about the shooter's father? He had some.
He was also in jail.
Right.
Back in the 70s.
Yeah.
For what?
I don't remember.
Yeah,
I think he also had psych issues.
Yeah. Yeah, they both certainly had psych issues. They were both, him and his father seemed to have these, like, I don't give a shit about anyone else tendencies. I know they call that narcissistic, but it's like, it seemed like they both had it pretty extreme.
What really got to me is when Janny talked about how that girl was behind her before the gunshots started going off and they took a picture. She's in that picture.
Yeah.
And then she turned around and she's laying on the ground. She has a picture of her last moment.
Yeah.
What?
Well, the crazy thing too is right where they stood by the stage was directly in the line of fire.
Yes.
So they were the ones that were the most exposed as far as where they were standing. So
could you imagine it just coming at you and you have nowhere, like Janny hid under somebody that was still alive, a man, right? She said there was a little bit of space. She crawled under this man, right?
Yes.
I remember that.
She crawled under him, then she tried to crawl under the bus.
Yes, but it's like open.
Oh yeah, she couldn't get under the bus. She
Janny's
sucked
like,
in.
I sucked it in.
She sucked in as much as she possibly could, but
she scraped up her whole entire body, and that's like life or death. Like,
that's another thing that they talked about. The artist that was playing that night, what was his name? I'm blanking.
Jason Aldean.
Jason Aldean. So Jason Aldean, he gave his accounts last night on the documentary, and that was crazy because basically he had his kids there, just one baby, but they were all in his trailer, and the trailer was being shot at, and they showed all the bullet holes. Didn't he say it took like 121 rounds, something like that, maybe?
in his trailer.
His trailer.
So
was
how
all
do we
shut up.
know?
So they were in the
Derek's probably
trailer
right, then.
when the shooting happened. They flew into the trailer or the bus and he sent his wife and the baby in the shower to be as protected as possible.
Okay, so he checked. Oh my gosh, because what I heard is he didn't know what was going on at first.
He didn't.
And then the
He
lights
thought it was a
turned
sound
off.
check
Yes.
issue.
Yeah, and then the lights turned off and like he was gone.
Well, no, one of the, I think it was his security or whatever. He's like, "Get down, come out." And he's like, what's going on? And he was confused. And then they told him they start running and whatnot.
I need to watch this documentary. I think that would answer a lot of questions too. But Janny being
Paramount Plus.
Janny, Paramount Plus. Yeah. Okay. They need to sponsor us, by the way. Okay. But Janny, her feeling and she still said that was the best time ever before that event happened. Right. So now,
if you look back at the footage, it looked
so much fun.
Until the documentary, I had never seen footage of it before the shooting. Okay. And I was like watching it looking like, dude, I would so want to go to something like that. It looked like so much fun. Tons of people. How many people were there? Like 22,000? Yeah, I was just like, I would want to go to one of these.
Yeah. We got to go to Coachella one time. I've never been to Coachella, but I think that would be so much fun because it's all different music, right? But I don't know. So that doesn't bother you or scare you after what happened?
No. Because I believe...
and it obviously doesn't bother them either. Haven't they been again? Has Janny and Lauren been again?
Oh, yeah.
They
went back.
Yeah, 3 years later.
3 weeks later.
Oh, my gosh. Okay, 3 weeks. But wasn't there another concert 3 years later?
I don't remember her mentioning it, but they've gone back to Vegas several times. I mean, Lauren and I were just in Vegas in May for my 40th birthday, so several times. But with Lauren, if you've seen the story, Lauren is the other girl in the pictures, Noble's wife, and she has her own view of what went down. Obviously, it's slightly different, but I would love for her to get on and tell from her perspective.
Yes.
Her husband is the one who got shot in the arm. It was actually the arm because I was texting her after we talked to Janny and it went through his arm up and came out his hand.
So it
exited his hand. You want the bullet to come out.
Yes,
you don't want it to stay in.
That's so amazing.
It traveled very far. And so he still doesn't have mobility in his hand. Like his hand kind of claws up. It doesn't have a lot of movement.
And that's what I wanted to kind of ask is like, what's going on with his trauma now? What's going on with his, so I would love to have them on because he was shot at Route 91.
Yes.
Like
I would love for them to come on too. I'm going to do some arm twisting and see what I can come up with.
Yeah. That would be amazing to hear.
Yeah. So what I love too about having all three of me being so close to all three of them, I love hearing their perspective, because they all went through a different sort of fear. And so I love hearing how they saw it differently. Like Noble jumped on top of his wife.
So this is because I didn't hear that. We didn't hear part.
Yeah, he jumped on top of her. Even I believe this was after he got shot. He still jumped on top of her.
Because I remember her Noble saying, I got shot, but it was like after everything happened. Was it the adrenaline?
I'm trying to remember. That's why I want them to come on because I don't want to butcher their story. Yeah. But I believe that he jumped on his wife, Lauren, after he got shot.
Wow.
But I could be wrong.
Do you know what I think is wild? Janny said the shooting started the song before at the end.
Yes.
And then it went through was like halfway through Jason Aldean's song. And it's like, so what's going on in the crowd during that time that it took so long for people to notice? Like, were people just falling to the ground, dying, and like people are just so shocked?
Yeah.
Or think about like maybe they're falling randomly, but it's so loud. Like think about if it was in a quiet
adrenaline,
room,
everything going on.
No, if it was like a quiet room, someone goes down, you're going to see him, right? But in a dark, loud place.
So you think people were screaming and yelling, but they thought that...
You can't, or you're just screaming and yelling for what reason? You're having fun or whatnot? It's not clear enough because it's not quiet and, it's so loud that you can't really see. I imagine that the people were falling, but the other ones around him didn't quite know what was happening.
Didn't they think it was fireworks at first?
They did.
So, yeah, if there's fireworks, you're like, oh, like, but then when it goes on for 11 minutes.
Well, what I find is weird is like the people at the hotel, how did they not hear the gunshots? It was right close to them.
Well, I didn't see the documentary. I just, from when it happened. So that was like, how many years ago?
5.
5 years ago that happened. All I remember hearing was they like rushed the door. Right?
Yeah. 11 minutes later.
11 minutes. So do you not hear that? Because the casino, I know they got calls down. They got complaints.
Yeah, but they checked every floor on the way up to 32nd. They went through every room on the way up.
Because they didn't know what room it was coming from.
I don't think so.
Yeah, that's what they said.
Didn't they get calls?
He said he went through every...
That would take hours.
Yes.
I know. That's what I was thinking.
No, they had to get a call.
They knew it was 37.
So maybe...
How, Derek? How did they know?
I thought he shot at a
32.
security guard.
32. Yeah, that's...
Yes.
So they knew it was 37th floor.
When they rushed the door.
30
afterwards,
seconds. 30
yes,
seconds.
Afterwards, I think they started checking other rooms.
You might be right there.
What do you think? Do you think you would have done the same thing as Janny if you were in that situation, going under a guy, trying to go under the bus? What would you have done in those thoughts?
When you're like in fight or flight and you'll crawl under, you'll shrink yourself and crawl into an ant-hole. I don't know what I do. I could not even begin to tell you what I do, and I don't need to because I'm never going to be in that situation. But
she's putting that out there, and it's not going to happen.
With Janny, I think that, like, how could you not, as a mom, how could you not think about your kids immediately? Like,
definitely.
For me, as a
that was her first text.
My dad died at 11, so for me that would have been my thought. Like, oh, my kids are gonna have to experience what I experienced, only worse because I'm the mom.
Is it actually worse,
I'm
Derek?
Just kidding.
You feel like
I'm just kidding. That's how I felt because versus my mom and my dad, I would have definitely chosen to keep my mom.
I think
longer.
I think Tegan would choose Derek. Just kidding.
Mom, you can go. She told me the other day that I could go. You could leave the house. Leave.
She's like, I'm in control.
Then I said, okay, I will. And she's like, okay, just kidding. Don't go.
Tegan is Tammy's daughter. She is 4, and she is our manager for our podcast. And this is Tammy Cox, and this is Jennifer Cox.
Yep. We're both Coxes. We're little Coxes over here.
Yeah. So I think honestly that her testimony is going to be different from your other friends. So I would definitely love to have them on, but it's just, yeah, you don't know what to expect in that situation. But I think the way Janny told it and the way they went about it, like they made some really smart choices during that decision. Because remember, she was talking about running across the field or double asking the security guard and then telling the security guard to come with her, and like, it's okay. This is not going to matter tomorrow. Come with us. Your life matters. Like, that's what I was touched with that when she was at was it Treasure Island down at no, it wasn't Treasure Island. It was right by
did it start with a T? The
Tropicana.
I think a lot of people escaped into the Tropicana. Tropicana. That's how I say it.
Whatever it is, it's just I think. And then those women who saved her, like, and took her to a hotel. Jeez. It's just the things that happen. Remember, she was like, I didn't have the same feeling. Remember, she had that feeling, and you are always about, you create what you think. And from that beginning of that day, she wasn't feeling right. Yeah. She said that so many times. She goes, and then this happened.
Yeah. We need to trust our intuition. Our intuition is our guidance. So like, here's the other part of the story that I did not tell you about. Oh, so, our girl Janelle, who was on last week, she was also with these girls. They all went together to Route 91. Janelle was 8 months pregnant.
What?
She was not feeling
so
good.
loud.
I know there's so many components to the story. That's why I'm like, I want everyone to give their 2 cents about it. I want to hear everyone's perspective.
Yeah.
But her and her husband were there too. She was 8 months pregnant. She wasn't feeling well. She stayed back that night.
And her husband went?
No, he didn't go. He wasn't there.
So she trusted her intuition.
She just wasn't feeling good. She trusted her guts that said, I don't feel good. But it's just interesting how everything works out, how life just works out. But yeah, could you imagine her 8-month pregnant self, like running?
No.
And I know she still has like a little, I know they all probably have a little survival guilt, which a lot of people do. About not just a mass shooting, but about death in general. I remember I lost my best friend at the time when I was a senior in high school. And I remember feeling guilty about it because I'm like, she was such a good girl and I was such an asshole.
You were a rebel.
I was an asshole. And I was like, she deserved to live. Like, why wasn't it me?
I think a lot of people, no matter what, if they're in a traumatic situation, feel like that. But it's so amazing what Janny is doing with that. Is she's doing some good causes out there with her restaurant. She's holding a fundraiser.
The Vault is holding the fundraiser
for the girl that was in the picture right behind him when the shooting started. Mm-hmm. Like,
yeah, that's pretty cool, right? It's pretty cool when people come together to support each other. And I think that's what they remember most now. If you ask any of them, Janny, Lauren, Noble,
so many friends,
they really became like a family. And when you watch the documentary, you'll see all the other ones that still get together and they sort of like pay homage to those whose lives were lost that day. And I don't know, it's just neat, even though it's a really horrifying, terrible experience, like what can come from that can be great. And that's why I love hearing these stories from others, because we can all be encouraged by their story.
There are a lot of positives out of the story.
So thank you for joining us on My Anonymous Friend. And